Hello, Professor Hildebrandt here. In this video, I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail about the words real and nominal. You may have already heard me mention these words in a couple of our other videos, or you may have read them in the text, and I just want to make sure that we understand what these words mean. And it's really important in regards to the context of this particular chapter because it's related to our concept of inflation. So nominal GDP is, for example, is talking about production but expressed in current year dollars. And so if we were talking about how much we produced back in 2017 and we were using 2017 dollars, then that's nominal GDP. Real GDP, on the other hand, is a measure of GDP that's already been adjusted for price changes. It's been adjusted for inflation. And so if we talk about the real GDP of 2017, then we are referring to a value that actually measures what we produced in 2017, okay? Because we've removed the change in price from that measurement. But we can use a real and nominal, these qualifying words, to talk about more than just GDP. And so like for this chapter, the text talks about it some in terms of wages, okay, when we're talking about our workers, our labor, okay? And so nominal wage, okay, this is what the paycheck says. So this is your salary or your hourly rate times the number of hours that you've worked, okay? Your real wage, on the other hand, is the purchasing power, okay, of the dollars of your income. So how much stuff, right, can my income buy me? So even if my nominal wage stays the same, if we have inflation, and most years we average around 2%, then I feel poorer. So again, my paycheck hasn't changed, but I would feel poor because I'm not able to buy as much stuff because the average price of things has gone up. And we actually have an equation that we can use to calculate these. And so we see that our real wage equals the nominal wage, again, that's what my paycheck says, minus whatever the inflation rate is at the time, okay? And so again, that's why I said earlier, the real wage, we define it as has been adjusted for inflation, because you can see here we're subtracting inflation out from the nominal wage to get the purchasing power of our dollars. And so this is why inflation kind of creates some arbitrary winners and losers. Let's suppose that both the worker and the firm anticipated, and I'm not spelling that right, hold on guys. So they anticipated that inflation next year was going to go with the average and be 2%, okay? And so maybe the worker negotiates a pay increase of 3%, thinking, hey, I want to keep up with inflation, and then I deserve a little bit of a merit raise as well, okay? Well, depending on what inflation really is going to impact whether the worker is better off or not. And so we'll calculate here, let's see, their real wage. So again, their nominal wage saw an increase of 3%. Let's say that inflation is what we thought, right? It's 2%. Well, then the worker does indeed get a 1% bump on their real wage. But what if inflation ends up being 4%? Well, then they've actually lost 1%. So again, our worker here, because inflation was higher than anticipated, actually saw a decrease in their real wage, which means they feel poorer, okay? And on the flip side, if inflation was less than expected, maybe only 1%, then they would have actually gotten a 2% raise in their purchasing power.